Hey guys, welcome back. And so don't mind my voice if I kind of start, like kind of talking kind of hoarse or something like that. I'm just getting over some weird virus thingy. It kind of a cold kind of thing. I think. I don't really know what it was. Like it wasn't Corona because I got tested. But I mentioned this well, I film my videos way ahead of time. And so I'm filming this like in June 2020. Okay. So So yeah. So if my voice sounds a little hoarse, I kind of go a little like that. Please don't. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. Um, but yeah, I just really want to film these. So I've kind of mentioned in the last episode. Well, this is rock and roll episode, the history of rock and roll episode 3. If you have not seen the last two episodes, go and watch them because you will not have any idea what's going on. Because I'm not going to do like what some people do, like in the last episode. No, I don't like doing that. You watch it, then you watch this one. That's how it works. So watch the last two. They're not too terribly long. Okay, so I forgot to mention in last episode that Chuck Berry also got put in prison. So if you watched last episode, that kind of makes matters worse for the rock and roll community because a lot of things happened. You have to watch last episode. So, but there's the bright side. A new record label came out up in Detroit, Michigan. Its name was Motown Records, and they like I don't mind Motown. Like like the only Motown I have in my collection is Michael Jackson. so so I won't talk about them that much, mostly because I don't know much about them. Like I think the only person I will mention be Otis Redding again, but that's kind of it. So here are the big bands. Here are the Supremes, have big songs like "Stop in the Name of Love," Otis Redding, like "Under the Boardwalk," The Temptations. I forgot what they say. And it's Stevie Wonder, Superstition, yeah. And then you had the Jackson Five, Michael Jackson. So in 1961, 1960s, rock got his kind of next new kind of phase. His name was Chubby Checker, who is still alive today as June 2020. He would have songs like Limbo Rock and the Trist. Also, in 1960, Roy Orbison finally got signed under Monument Records, so he would release a bunch of singles, and a lot of them would go big, like Lana, Oh Pretty Woman, It's Over, stuff like that. And also, Elvis Presley finally got back from the military, and he would be on the Frank Sinatra show, a special called Welcome Home Elvis. And ironically, Frank Sinatra hated rock and roll music, and surprisingly, um, was really good friends with Elvis. And well, surprisingly, him and Elvis would be really good friends for the rest of Elvis's life. But in 1961, over in California, a new kind of like rock and roll craze kind of grew. It was called like a beachy kind of, kind of beach rock music. It was kind of led by a band called the Beach Boys, which we'll mention later. And also in the year 1961, um, Bob Dylan released his first album. So 1962 over in Great Britain, um, a guy named Brian Epstein walks into a bar and sees a band called the Beatles playing. He quickly goes over and says, "Hey, you guys have potential, kind of thing. I think I can make you famous." The Beatles trust him and say, "Hey, you can be our new manager." And he took the job. So he got rid of the drummer, and got a guy named Ringo Starr who was a better drummer than this guy, who was in a band called Something in the Hurricanes. It was like the lead singer saying in the Hurricanes. And I think the Hurricanes eventually got a record deal too, but they, like one hit wonder kind of thing. But and then he kind of changed the look from this to this, which we all know and love today. And also he got him under record deal of EMI to put uh, under the Polo phone label, and they released the first album in early 1963. And so the Beatles' Please Me had a couple hits. Please Please Me, Love Me Do, and Tristan Shout. It was also one of the first kind of stereo albums. But it was also one of the first albums to go big in the UK and the US. Because, they allowed a couple to go over, and I've forgotten to what label it was. It was like some like kind of lame-o kind of label. But back in that day, there was no really independent record label. They were all under the thumb of the American record labels. So like Capitol owned like EMI, stuff like that, things like that. So that's why you have like those like Beatles albums, like the Beatles now on Capitol, and that's why Ringo celebrates his birthday at Capitol Records. So yeah. So also this year another big song came out by the Kings Band. It was Louie Louie. It's very popular, kind of like with marching bands. And but if I play a little bit, you know exactly what it is, literally. And so I thought I probably should ask, because this actually was like in like a sense like investigation kind of trial for inappropriate lyrics. Yeah. So also that year, same year, 1963, um, Little Richard finally got back to rock and roll after kind of after trash talking it for like the last couple years. And so he went and toured England with the Everly Brothers and a guy who I failed to mention last episode, Bo Diddley. Bo Diddley, he's a rock and roll pioneer. Most probably most famous for his song Bo Diddley. Yes, there's a song called Bo Diddley by Bo Diddley. And so with them on this tour, they had this young British band open. The name of this British band was called the Rolling Stones. Well, in early 1964, the Beatles finally made it over to America and toured. They went on the Ed Sullivan Show a couple days later, which I probably should have mentioned in the last episode, but there's a lots of stuff going on. And so Ed Sullivan, everyone watched it. It was like, you know, I think about like 80% of America. I guess it's the most popular show. It's kind of like, like right when Tiger King comes on Netflix, everyone watches it, kind of thing, like right away. That was the Ed Sullivan Show. Everyone watched it. Like every TV in America was tuned to the Ed Sullivan Show. And so Ed Sullivan, he's been around since the 70s, and he brought basically every like major artist played on the Ed Sullivan Show, like Elvis, the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, stuff like that. The Rolling Stones actually asked to never come back by the public, but they came back anyway. Yeah. But also, we should probably thank Dick Clark and American Bandstand too, which I probably should have mentioned last episode too. American Bandstand did a lot, and Dick Clark, you might not know who he is, but around New Year's Eve, if you go, I don't know which, it might be like ABC, NBC, CBS, I know one of those three has Dick Clark's Rockin' New Year's Eve. That's Dick Clark. He used to do it. I think he did it up till his death. Like in 2012, he did Dick Clark's News Rock and Eve. He always did it, like since, I don't know, since television was born. But yeah, he hosted American Bandstand until the 1980s, until it was canceled. Basically, what it was, if any of you have seen the movie Grease, kind of at the end they had like the TV stations kind of come for the dance, and they had like the dance competition. That's kind of what American Bandstand was. They would get a band, and they would get a whole bunch of like teenagers, and they would kind of dance to the music, and they kind of filmed it and stuff. That's kind of what it was. It was extremely popular. Also around this time, I saw a lot of British acts came over. Sorry, I actually bumped the screen. A lot of British acts came over, and this really kind of sealed the deal for British acts to come over and make it big. Some of these were the Kinks, who had hits like "You Really Got Me Now," "All Day or All Night," "Died Waiting for You." In the 70s, they have lots of hits like "Supersonic Rocket Ship" and other ones. I don't really know any offhand, but the 80s. Oh, and also we had "The Good Times Gone" and "Lola." In the 80s, they would still be big, having hits like "Destroyer" and "Come Dancing." Also, another one was the Animals. The Animals would have hits like "House of the Rising Sun," um, "Don't Be Misunderstood," and "House of the Rising Sun" was ranked number 10th in like most money made by a rock and roll song. I think number one was "Hey Jude." The Corner Watch Mojo. Also, they have another song called "We Gotta Get Out of This Place," which I'm going to talk about later. And San Franciscan Nights. The San Francisco Nights. One of the two. San Francisco Night. Yeah, that's what it is. Also, in 1964, Elvis would have his most successful movie, Viva Las Vegas, with Anne Margaret, who had like a huge crush on Elvis. Even though Elvis was with Priscilla, she would pretty much do anything. So Priscilla absolutely just hated her, and Elvis didn't. They were like, they were really good friends for kind of the rest of their lives. And all the people Elvis co-starred with, Anne Margaret was the only one who came to his funeral. So, And yeah, so she even set rumors that her and Elvis get married and stuff. So yeah, okay. Also this year, the Beatles had their movie, probably the most successful one, Hard Day's Night, which is kind of like, like a documentary kind of thing of like the day in the life of the Beatles. And John Lennon would say his like very famous "the Jesus is that the Beatles are better than Jesus" kind of quote. And I always kind of find it funny that like every time I read that, it's like one word's different. It's like I've heard better Jesus, better than God, more popular. It's always different every time I read that quote. I don't know why, So I mean, like in different magazines that I read or books about the Beatles, that quote is always like changed in some way. Like it's either better, popular. It's just yeah. Also, in this time, Chuck Berry finally got out of prison, and he stopped performing again. Also, in late 1964, a band called The Who finally got their record deal and came out with the album My Generation. And, and also, a young guy by the name of Jimi Hendrix got his record deal. In 1965, the Beatles came out with the second movie, Help, and also performed the famous Shea Stadium, which is pretty much the first, like, arena rock concert. And I thought it was kind of funny, like, you see this and you see that small stage. No wonder why no one can hear the music. And, with those little small amps. I think they only had, like, 1 amp per, like, guitar. It's just, like, you need, like, 5. But also, the Beatles released a very like influential album called Rubber Soul, which was the first Beatles album without a cover song, and the first Beatles album with thing called there's like a sitar on the track Norwegian Wood. Also, believe it or not, a the rock band that's very famous in the 80s called the Scorpions, like rock being like a hurricane, no one like you band started performing in 1965. Believe it or not, yes, they're 55 years old in 2020. I don't believe it either. I don't wonder why they look so old in the 80s. Also, this year, 65, the Animals released We Gotta Get Out of This Place. I say this because a couple years later, the height of Vietnam starts. And the song is extremely popular. Because the song is, we gotta get out of this place. Very popular song. But also in 65, The Who released their second album, a quick one, which has a cover of the song Batman. And also, the band Golden Earring starts performing. They would be known for mostly in the 70s, for their songs Wait All Love, which was ranked number 1 as the best road trip song, and in the early 80s, I think early 80s, late 70s, in the Twilight Zone. And also, this band Guess Who started, their first album. It was, they would be later mostly famous for the song American Woman, which came out in 1970. So in 1966, the Beach Boys released their album Pet Sounds. Pet Sounds would be it's probably one of the Beach Boys' best albums. Well, like critically wise, it was very hanging back, and it talked a lot about loneliness. And so this would actually influence a big album which came out the next year. Also in 1966, the Animals changed the name to Eric Bird and the Animals. It is San Francisco Nights. And also another band called Jefferson Airplane would get their record deal and start recording. And the Beatles released the album Revolver, which would be the last Beatles album with the Suits. And also, it was a lot of experimental stuff. It would have hits like Eleanor Rigby, Yellow Submarine, Got to Get You Into My Life, and also the song Tomorrow Never Knows, which would be, it's a very weird song, and why it's so weird is all the music in the background, other than the voice, is being played backwards. So John Lennon, he had the whole song played, and he's gonna put, his voice over it, and all of a sudden, he actually hits the rewind button on the cassette tape, and he's like, "This sounds cool," and so instead he used that and put his voice over it. And Revolver is my favorite Beatles album. Also, so 1967 starts, and a band called The Doors gets their record deal and starts working on their first album. And Fillmore opens, and a lot of big bands would play here. Like, basically every major 60s band would play here, like in the hippie era. It would close like in the early 70s. And also in 1967, The Who would release the iconic album, The Who Sellout. And in '69, I forgot to mention, they released the next Who Tommy, which would have been the first rock opera. Also, the band Grateful Dead started recording this year too. And also, it was the first one of the first kind of hippie pop music festivals kind of happened, called Monterey. And I'll just let you look. I was seeing this page on this slide for a little bit, because I'm assuming you guys want to look at the people. Like a couple I mentioned, like the Animals, the Who, Grateful Dead, Jefferson Airplane, Otis Redding. I mentioned those, but then you have like the Mamas and the Papas, as you can see. And I did mention and Simon and Garfunkel and the Birds. I won't really mention them because I don't really know much about them. Well, not the Mamas, but the Papas, the Birds. Probably the most I know about those three will probably be Simon and Garfunkel. You know, like people sing "The Sound of Silence," which is a great song, by the way. Okay, I'm gonna switch now. Also at this festival, a new lady started singing, and her name would be Janis Joplin. Also in '67, the first supergroup came out. If you don't know what a supergroup is, it's a whole. Basically, it's like my favorite one is called Damn Yankees, and so it has Ted Nugent from Ted Nugent. Um, dang it, that's not a good example because I don't know. Okay, Bad English is the example. Great band. So you have the lead singer is the lead singer from the Babies. The keyboardist is the keyboardist from Journey. The guitarist is Neil Sean from Journey. The drummer is some just really good drummer. And the bass player is from the Babies. So basically, it's a whole bunch from like different bands kind of come together. Like the Traveling Wilburys is one because it has George Harrison, Roy Orbison, Tom Petty, Bob Dylan, right? Yeah, so that's a supergroup. There's a whole bunch of famous people come together to make a band. Or like different people come together to make a band. And so this one, probably the most famous one would be Eric Clapton. And this is probably one of my favorite album covers. Like, this cover's pretty cool. And the next one for the next album, the following year, Wheels of Fire, is really cool, but I didn't put it on. Why did I not do that? And so this album's called Disraeli Gears, and it had hits like Strange Blue, not Blue, Brew, Sunshine of Your Love, and Tales of Brave Ulysses. Like Ulysses S. Grant. Ulysses. Oh. Also, that album that I talked, that Beach Boys album, I said influence an album. It would influence this album called Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, and also as a like nice loyal Nebraskan. If you look up, there is one Nebraskan actually depicted on Sgt. Pepper's. If you look behind, well, go to the back row. See that guy with the hat, like the big brown hat. The guy to the left is Fred Astaire from Grand Island, Nebraska. Fun fact. Also, in this you have Bob Dylan, Loyal Hardy, Karl Marx, Edgar Allan Poe, and I just went through it and I'm like, oh, I know some of these guys. Now I'm brain dead again. Oh, and is it Lewis Carroll, the guy who did Alice in Wonderland? And Marilyn Monroe and Shirley Temple. Elvis was not put on here because these are people who inspired the Beatles, and the Beatles talk about Elvis a lot. And so in an interview, they said, "Why didn't you put Elvis in there?" And they said that Elvis is better than us. He doesn't deserve to be in this group of people who are behind us, kind of thing. I thought, which was kind of cool. So also that year, the Beatles came out with their worst album. And their worst album happens to still be good. I don't know how they can do it. It's called Magical Mystery Tour. Yeah. I don't know if I'm a big fan of the cover. supposedly there's supposed to be a phone number and that stars like a London morgue or something. But supposedly, and um, and so this had hits like Penny Lane, Strawberry Fields, Hello Goodbye, I'm the Walrus, and yeah, and it's like the worst album. It's crazy. Also, 1967, a dude named David Bowie got his recording deal, and Roy Orbison got a movie. Yes, he got a movie, and yeah, I've always thought this was. And I kind of want that guitar. Has the gun come out. And I've always thought this kind of cool poster, so that's why I put that in. So, 1968 hits. It's the height of the Vietnam War. And so now some more kind of harder rock, kind of a protest group kind of bands come out. You have like Steppenwolf comes out. Jethro Tull. Yeah. So they have I don't know what song it was, and it won like a Grammy for best like heavy metal or it was like best metal or hard rock song, and they play a flute. Okay, they literally play a flute. Like I have one of the songs like on like a compilation kind of thing of a whole bunch of different people, and it's like all this guitar, and all of a sudden a flute. This is like a 4 minute like flute solo. It's a good song, but there's like a flute. Like they play a flute. How can they win a game for hard rock? I don't know. Okay. Also, in this year, the Beatles released the White Album, which is the most successful album they've ever had. Believe it or not, it is. You think it'd be Sgt. Pepper's, but no, it's this. Um, and so this would be this would have hits like Back in the USSR, Oobla Dee Oobla Da, While My Guitar Gently Weeps. Um, Birthday, Blackbird, Helter Skelter. And also this album actually inspired a serial killer. Is it Charles Manson? Yeah, I think it's called Charles Manson, right? I think that's the name of the guy. And they know this because he said when he listened to the album, the Beatles' White Album, he said Helter Skelter meant the world was ending. And also he wrote Piggies in the victim's blood. And there was a Beatles song on there called Piggies. It's kind of obvious. Also this year, Elvis had his comeback special, the 68 comeback special, because he was kind of tired of filming movies, because he kind of realized that his movies stink. And he was at the best at acting. And what I also, so I have seen this. So if you go to Graceland, there's 2 channels, 24/7 that play that play a 6-day comeback special 24/7, and on the other channel they play the Hawaii special. So I watched both, and I always thought it was kind of cool that Elvis did a karate scene. So yeah, he did a full like karate scene, which is pretty cool. And he beat up like 20 people, and then Elvis would do his From Elvis in Memphis album as like his comeback album, which is pretty good. It has a lot of good songs on it. And he did a Hey Jude cover, by the way. So 1969 starts. The Beatles release their Abbey Road album, which is supposedly a funeral procession. Supposedly. Paul McCartney's not dead. The band Free starts recording. They will have the famous song All Right Now. Rod Stewart gets his recording. Well, he starts recording. Elton John. Um, oh man, is this the Doobie Brothers? I think it's the Doobie Brothers. Is he the Doobie or the Allman? No, Allman Brothers are 70. Right. Also in 1969, Led Zeppelin starts their first album, which would be like the famous Hindenburg Crash, which is one of my personal favorite album covers of all time. Geez, it's really cool. Also, 1969, you have Woodstock. You can't really forget about Woodstock. Um, and yeah, so yeah, I kinda and I thought that was so yeah. As you can see, a lot of people came, but like 200,000 people came. People like Carlos Santana played, and 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 lots of other people, as you can see, like Jimi Hendrix, The Who, I think Mamas and Papas, uh, Crosby, Stills, Nash, uh, Grateful Dead, Janis Joplin, uh, I think Joe Cocker, a lot of people, but Jimi Hendrix kind of stole the show at the very end with his famous, Star Spangled Banner. And that's where we're going to end it. So if you like, today's episode, thumbs up, and like leave a like and subscribe, give a thumbs up. Um, if you have any comments, complaints, questions, which I'd be happy to answer any questions whatsoever, and or any or if the viewers want to answer the question, that's fine by me too. And so any answers to the questions being asked, or if I got anything wrong, okay, I don't take it as criticism like most people do. They hit like the report abuse button kind of thing. I don't do that. I like to know when I'm wrong, so I don't repeat that same wrong thing to like other people I tell the story to, because that does not make me look smart whatsoever, guys. Okay, so if there's anything I got wrong, put it down in the comments below. If I missed anything, please tell me, because I will mention it. Well, I can't really mention the next episode because it would already be filmed by the time this video goes up. But I do like going and refilming stuff a lot. Refilming meaning by I well, I like to go and I like to refilm old videos kind of thing. Most notably my history ones, and so just kind of updating them, making them look good. So yeah, I can always update them, uh, and also I think I might be doing a long version of this. A long version meaning that I'm actually go and refilm the whole thing, but non-stop. To be like an actual documentary kind of style kind of thing. And I might put music in and stuff. Still trying to figure that out. But yeah. And so so that's one thing. And so but I would do that when this comes out. So then if I'm missing anything, I can add it in. See what I'm getting at? So yeah. So I guess what I'm trying to say that these ones would be the smaller ones if you just want to take a break kind of thing. But if you want to watch the whole thing front to back, no stops whatsoever, I'm gonna come out with a big kind of documentary kind of style, and it might be the longest video I've ever done in my life. So yeah. So so please leave a like and subscribe, and if you have any comments, complaints, questions, put down in the comments below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!